This is the Neon Tarantino, the director, Derek Dillinger.
And Katie Arquette, the leading lady of the production.
And we're live. No second takes, no reshoots.
And you're watching the Main Event Wrestling Network.
Cut.
We are live. We are here. We are back. I've had a few weeks off for the shoot job, but what a week to come back. It was go home week for this weekend's All In pay-per-view for AEW. Their biggest show of the year. Gonna be live from Wembley Stadium. And we are back to talk a little bit about last night's Dynamite, but really preview the pay-per-view this Thursday. The pay-per-view weeks are a slightly different animal here, where I will be going through the card of the pay-per-view, kind of talking about what happened on Dynamite, kind of lumping it all together and stuff like that. So we are here. But you know the drill. Main Event Wrestling Network got some of the best content on a daily, weekly basis here in this landscape. We're on the road to 420, and you know that's my favorite road. That's my favorite road. And that is what we are on. We surpassed our 400 goal not too long ago. We're on the road to 420. We're on the road to 500. We're on the road to 1 million. So go give us a follow. Main Event _net, Instagram, Twitter. This QR code in the corner here of me, whatever side it's on. I'll do the CM Punk. Whatever side it's on, that'll guide you to everywhere you need to go. The Morning Jay is back. We are here. If you're watching on YouTube, click that thumbs up for us. That helps us out. Share this out. Click that bell for notifications if you haven't already to get updates whenever we're releasing a lot of content we do. We do have the Kayfabe coffee on every Tuesday with the boys reviewing Monday Night Raw. And then we have every Thursday, I am here reviewing AEW Dynamite. And that is what we are going to be doing. And we're going to get into it, yo. We're going to get into it. The show was taped yesterday. They were in Glasgow, Scotland. Oh. And it was taped. A pretty decent show. I did find a few things to be a little bit surprising. I was very surprised that Kenny Omega wasn't on this show. That was very surprising to me. Last week's show ends with that, turn where he one-winged angels Will through the table. He has that psychotic look on the outside, like fully goes heel. Even earlier in the night last week, the sit down where he kind of took the dig about Will's kid. And so that was a full-on heel turn, official, from Kenny Omega. So I thought it was kind of odd that he wasn't on the show to talk about that or explain that or have a something going on with Will. Will was on the show. He opened the show with the promo. We saw a vignette hyping that match to end the show. But I thought Kenny not being on the show was weird. I don't think it was needed, but I think, look, we're building to Will's crowning moment. It's in his home country. I think they want the fans. I think the fans are going to be majorly in Will's corner anyway, because it's in England. But I feel like they want everybody to be rooting for Will. And that heel turn gives us a bad guy. Now, I'm not saying everybody, but like the heel turn gives us a bad guy to root against. And it gives Will some more sympathy that the people will be behind him and all stuff like that, to be honest. Ospreay did open the show last night. He comes out. He says it's been a full year since he's been in Scotland, and it's been a long year full of doubt. Didn't know if he would come back or be able to win the big one. He says people keep on asking him, what's it like to be a British wrestler going for the most important title in wrestling? And then he starts diving in. He says, well, in order for me to answer that, you guys got to really know what it's like to be a British wrestler. And then he starts talking about early on in his career. He said, long before New Japan, long before AEW, I fought everywhere. I fought England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, making towns all over the Indies in Europe. He goes, he talks about, throwing yourself in the ring and eating, boarding Friday to Sunday. And you look at your wage packet, it's not enough to pay the rent. So you got to wake up Monday and go get a regular job. He'd be during the week. He'd be at building sites helping, earning whatever he could. He goes, I did that all to fly the flag for the UK and represent every fan from everywhere in the country to show that UK truly is where the best wrestle. And he mentions legends like Doug Williams, Mark Haskins, Jody Flesh. And then he talks about some people that have passed, like Chris Travis, Ryan Smile, and Scotland's own Lionheart. He goes, I did all this to prove that I'm the best. And when you talk about being the best, it's hard to look past our current champion, Kenny Omega. He says, Kenny's not here tonight. Did not make sense to me. But he says, I know he's watching at home. And I want you to know that there's not a man alive that respects you more than I do. He says, no one has been a better wrestler this decade than Kenny Omega. He goes, I'm fine with saying that, but all respect out the window once you mention my kid. And you said that thing about he's going to need a new hero after you lose. He goes, that ain't happening. He goes, I'm making promises Sunday. You're going to get the Billy Goat. And he goes, you get the match of your life Sunday. The stadium leaves with memories of a lifetime. And I promise you don't want to, and he dropped the F-bomb. He goes, you don't want to fuck with a man looking after his boy. He said, there's a debt to be paid. It's been waiting for too long. He goes, for the ones that have been with me from the start, to the ones who are here now, to my mom, to my dad, to my wife, to my boy, it is time to bring it home. And Kenny is going to help me show my boy that heroes are just ordinary people who can do extraordinary things. And he says, this Sunday, I'm taking it all. And that's how the promo ends. Solid promo. I don't think it was anything, earth-shattering or anything like that, but a solid promo to get the, listen, I know some people very close to me that are really pulling for Kenny to win here. They think that it would be more intriguing if Will were to lose. And I understand that, but this has been a story they've been building for almost 2 years at this point. I thought Will was supposed to really win the title last year, but Hangman got that momentum behind him, and they knew they were in London again this year. So I think that they made the right decision, and they pivoted, and they went with Hangman, and they said, Will, we're going to build to this in Wembley. I'm all for shocks. I'm all for, whoa, I didn't see that one coming. I don't think it would, maybe not with everybody around the world, but with that stadium, that night on Sunday, especially leaning in the last 3 weeks to a month about how an English guy has never won the world title in England. When you're leaning into that, if all of a sudden Will were not to win this match, I don't think that is going to go well for the crowd in attendance. So I think, this is as sure a bet of the evening as I have. They've been building to this for a long time. This is the crowning moment of Will, and Will's going to win. And the show's going to end with Will finally being the British wrestler that wins the World Heavyweight title in England, in Wembley, in his home country. That's how this is going to go. Now, again, I found it very, very puzzling that Kenny Omega was not on this show. I find it very weird that he's going to do that big-ass heel turn that we saw at the end of that show, and then we're not going to hear from him, and he's just going to lose on Sunday. That's it. We don't get one vignette, one promo, one more face-to-face with him and Will kind of, leaning into why he officially did what he did last week, and then all of a sudden we're just going to have a match on Sunday and it's over, and Kenny loses. I do find that to be weird. But at the same time, I don't know. I do find it. Well, the world champion isn't there about half the time. So, I think we're kind of used to that with WWE. So I think we're used to people not being around as much. But yeah, I don't know. It was very odd. But as far as my prediction for this is Will Ospreay. I think we've all been pretty certain that it felt like this is Ospreay's time. I do feel like this is Ospreay's time. And that's what we're going to get here. That's what we're going to get here on Sunday. On Dynamite, that led into the first of two Continental Challenge Cup semifinal matches. I'm going to go out of order here, and I'm going to just talk about both of them back to back and then talk about the match on Sunday. But the first one was Claudio Castagnoli and Jon Moxley, Death Rider, stablemates. Good match, about the type of match you would expect from Moxley and Claudio. Started off with a test of strength, even bringing it back old school, but a lot of groundwork, a lot of vicious strikes, a lot of submissions, a lot of reversals. That had a couple outside segments where Claudio did the giant swing on the outside and then threw Moxley into the barricade, which was a very, very cool spot. There was another what the fuck? I just said it. Swing. There was another giant swing on Moxley in the ring later on in the match. Towards the end of this match, Moxley hits a Death Rider or hits the paradigm shift, and Claudio kicked out at 1, which I thought was pretty cool. He kicks out at 1, but then it's right into the blackout, and then he lifted him up and gave him the full Death Rider, which Claudio kicked out again at 2, and then he put him in the sleeper into the Bulldog choke, and Claudio went out. And Jon Moxley, by referee stoppage, advances. He wins, and he will be heading to Wembley in the finals of the Cup. A little bit later on, we saw the second semifinal. That was Nigel McGuinness and Kyle O'Reilly. Nigel been nursing the ankle injury this whole tournament. It's been a storyline since his first match in this tournament with Shibata. And this match was really good too. This match was way more submission-based, way more ground-based than the first one with Moxley and Claudio, even though there was a lot of that as well. But this was, look at Kyle O'Reilly is a submission guy, and Kyle O'Reilly spent this whole match trying to rip that ankle out of Nigel's socket, and Nigel just would not give up. Would not give up. And at the very end, through back and forth, Nigel survived once again, and he made Kyle tap. He made Kyle tap. He had him in the London dungeon. Kyle taps. Nigel, the dream is still alive with Nigel, and he is on to the finals in his home country, taking on Jon Moxley, not only to win the Continental Cup, but to win the Continental Championship. I've been saying this for a few weeks now, but I said it. We were on our buddy Pluggo and I, the Beards, were on our buddies, the Wrestling Junkies podcast on Tuesday night, and we were talking a little All In, and I said it then. I think that was the first time I've said it like publicly on the airwaves, but I said it then. I expected Nigel to win this match. I know some people thought, oh, we're going to get Kyle O'Reilly and Moxley again, which would have made sense. Totally would have made sense, and that would have ruled, because every time they wrestle, it rules. But I expected Nigel to, a kind of a hero's effort, fighting through an injury, getting to this finals in Wembley, in London, where we saw him come back a couple years ago in the gauntlet match. I expect Nigel to go down and defeat very valiantly on Sunday to Jon Moxley, and then I expect Nigel McGuinness to retire. I expect Nigel to leave his boots in the ring after that match in his home country, in front of his people. I expect him to retire. That is how I think this goes on Sunday. And I think it'll be a very fitting tribute and a very fitting end for Nigel to do it at Wembley. That match is going to be great. They're going to put on a real good one. Moxley's going to make him look like $1,000, $1 million, whatever you want to call it. Nigel, there's going to be at least a couple times in that match where I think we're all going to be on the edge of our seat thinking Nigel's going to pull this one out like he's pulled out these matches in this tournament. But Moxley is a different cat, man. Moxley is a different cat. And I think Moxley wins. He retains. I don't think this is the spot nor the person where Moxley loses that title. But I do think that this is going to be a celebration of Nigel, as I do feel like after the valiant effort, he will retire. I do think that will happen. That's how I feel. That's how I feel about that one. So we got that. After that, we had ourselves a trios match. It was Adam Copeland teaming with the Young Bucks to take on members of the Don Callis family, Brian Cage, Rocky Romero, and Jake Doyle. This was supposed to be an 8-man tag, but it turned into a trios because Christian absolutely refused to team with the Bucks, which I loved, by the way. In wrestling, we see a lot of wrestlers put aside their differences for, matches and things like that. I love how Christian's like, no, screw you. I'm not teaming with those guys. This can be a trios match. Like, literally changed the match on the show. Changed the match on the show because he was like, I'm not teaming with the Bucks. Not doing it. The match was good. I liked Brian Cage and Doyle kind of throwing around their power a little bit. Throughout the majority of this match, Copeland and the Young Bucks were on the same page. And then towards the end of this match, they were not on the same page. They almost double super kicked Copeland, but everybody stopped. Cooler heads prevailed. This was a back and forth battle. But at the end of it, Rocky Romero receives a super kick party and then right into a spear from Adam Copeland. And Adam Copeland and the Young Bucks win by pinfall victory. And then there was some stuff that happened after the match. So post-match, the Bucks and Copeland are kind of like, keeping the peace, but they're kind of like, we're fighting in a few days. But Christian Cage comes down. Mic in hand. He says, now that this love fest is out of the way, we need the Bucks to sit down and shut up. He goes, while I conduct my business. He goes, I don't associate with people that are beneath me. He goes, and as far as tag team goes, that's exactly what the Young Bucks are. He goes, no doubt you've been influential, but you're not legends like myself and Adam. The type of legends they name matches after. The type of legends they name pay-per-views after. And he goes, and this Sunday, I love this line that he said. He goes, and this Sunday at Wembley Stadium with the tag titles on the line, he goes, some people are calling it a dream match. He goes, but for me, it's just another day at the office. And he goes, and the Bucks are going to find out there's a difference between influence and legendary. Love that fucking line. Love that line. I love this whole promo by Christian. I thought this was a great promo by Christian. And then Matt Jackson rebuts. He says, all right, yeah, you've had matches and pay-per-views named after you, but have you ever had a company named after you? And then the crowd started chanting, Elite, the Elite. And I was like, it's been a while since I heard that chant. But so he says that. And he goes, last week we accidentally super kicked you in the face. But if you keep talking like that, tonight there won't be no accident. And then they start bickering with each other. Christian Cage kicks Matt right in the penis. Right in it. Dead square. Ball shot. Kicks him. Then Nick super kicks Christian. And then Adam Copeland spears Nick Jackson. Copeland looked very frustrated at everybody, including Christian, after that. Like, he did what he had to do to defend his tag partner and his brother, but, like, he didn't look thrilled. So he yells a little bit. He grabs his tag belt, and he stands tall next to Christian. Good little segment. I liked how in the match They were mainly on the same page until they weren't, but they still got the victory. And then you could tell Copeland was kind of like, hey, all right, let's be cool here. Like, the match is on Sunday. We don't need to do anything crazy, but Christian being Christian brought it to that level. And you could tell that Copeland was frustrated, but he did what he had to do to be on his partner's side. And I think this match could open the show on Sunday, the main card at least. But I'm expecting new tag champs on Sunday, y'all. I think the Young Bucks are going to pull it out, and I think they're going to win and beat Copeland and Christian and become the first ever 4-time AEW tag team champions. And then I think we could see a face-to-face potentially after that with a few fellas that we will talk about here in a little bit. Could. On Dynamite, it was then time for Willow Nightingale to come out and address the audience. Her music is playing, but we don't see Willow. She doesn't come out. And then we start hearing screaming over the PA, and we get a cut to the back, and Mercedes Moné is beating down Willow with the chair. She says, oh, you don't get to speak tonight. This is your last Dynamite as champion, and they don't get to hear from you. I'm taking that away from you. You don't get to talk to the fans. The fans don't get to listen to you. I'm taking that away from you. And she slams Willow's hand into the chair. She stomps on her hands a bunch of times. She goes, I'm taking away your chance to speak to the fans. I'm taking away your hand. And on Sunday, I'm going to take your title away too. And she storms off, and we are left to see Willow laying there in pain, clutching her hand. And that's really all we got for the women's program. If it were any other show, if it were any other place than All In and in Wembley on Sunday, I think that this match should main event the show. I think this is without question the best story they've been telling of all the stories heading into All In. This Willow and Mercedes story, it has been excellent from the jump. Obviously, they have a long history, but like specifically since Willow won that title at Revolution, it has been really, really good. It has been really, really good, Mercedes and Willow. And I'm going to be honest with you, if you would have asked me 2-3 months ago, even before Mercedes came back, I would have said no brainer, like I felt about Will. No brainer, Mercedes. Is that official, though? Is that official? Is that what they're playing here? Because they definitely did that angle that would make me believe that, but is it official, though? Because I don't think I've seen. So obviously, I mean, listen, I love Willow. Yeah, that's what I thought. I know she's banged up, which is unfortunate, but I would expect. And here's the thing. That maybe changes how I feel about things because, like I said, a couple months ago, if you would have asked me, and Eric, thanks for popping in, man. If you would have asked me a couple months ago, I would have said, oh, this is Mercedes all day. This is her time. She's going to win this title. Now, the injury might make that so. And that's the thing. Because the way that this has been built, I was kind of in the process of doing a 180 here and thinking that Willow would retain. That's where I was kind of going with the way everything was being built and everything like that. I was like, Willow just won the thing. Are they really just going to give her a month title reign in her first title reign? She's so over. She's the best babyface in the company. But if she is injured and she's working through it, that means most likely what Kyle said in the back there is she'll probably work through it and work through this match and then lose and then go take some more time off to get healthy. So maybe this is Mercedes all day. I don't know. I feel like I have been being swayed week by week that I thought Willow had a chance to retain here. But we'll see. But like I said, I do stand by the fact that if it wasn't in Wembley, man, if it wasn't in Wembley, that this match should be the main event. I will stand by that. We then had a backstage interview. Renee Paquette is with Don Callis and Dunkzilla, my man, Mark Davis. And he says whether it's Will Ospreay or Kenny Omega as champion coming out of All In, Mark Davis has drawn a number. He's in the Casino Gauntlet, and if he gets into it, he will get the title match, and he will bring the world title home to the Don Callis family. Later on in the night, we also see that Chris Jericho announced that he is also in the Casino Gauntlet match that will be at All In. So as of right now, the participants that we know, well, let me lean into it because the next thing was also involving those people. So we find out Mark Davis is in the Gauntlet. Later on, we know Jericho's in there as well. Then Andrade's music hits. He's supposed to come out and address the crowd. But Andrade doesn't come out. The music stops, and MJF's music hits. He comes out. He says, I'm sure you're all wondering where Andrade is. He goes, but I paid a few men to, let's say, warm him up for Sunday, so he's not here tonight. He goes, but you know who is here? Your one true champion. The OTC. Maxwell Jacob Freeman. He goes, but let's face it. He goes, what Andrew, referring to Andrade, he goes, what Andrew does isn't revolutionary. I can do all that. Come out here wearing a t-shirt like a jabroni. Check. He goes, wear a bunch of fake jewelry. Check. And he goes, oh, what's next? He goes, oh, take a selfie with the pretty lady. He goes, well, we are in Glasgow, Scotland, so that's going to be hard to find. And then he looks around and he sees there's a pretty lady sitting front row. And he goes, well, she'd be a 4 in the United States, but here in Scotland, this is a 10. And that popped me. I'm sorry. That popped me. I laughed a lot at that. That was a funny joke because she would not be a 4 in the United States. But nonetheless, that was very funny. And he goes to take it. He says, I'll take a picture, but first I need a crappy catchphrase. And he goes, so I have one question for you. And while MJF is kind of facing, his back is turned to the lady, and he's asking this question, Andrade rolls up. He gets in the place where the lady was standing. And before MJF could ask it, Andrade goes, how you know, Kyle?
I have one question for you. How you know?
And Andrade asks, MJF, his face changes. He turns around. Andrade pops him in the head with the microphone. Andrade gives him chase. MJF runs away. They brawl in the ring a little bit, but MJF gets away. And then they just kind of stare each other down. And that's what we got. So, fun segment. Liked it a lot. And then we have this Casino Gauntlet match on Sunday. We know Andrade is the first entrant. We know MJF is the second entrant. And as of this moment, we also know that Tommaso Ciampa, Chris Jericho, and Mark Davis are also in this match. A lot of speculation about who else will be in this match. Obviously, the news of last week was that one Ilya Dragunov left WWE. There is a lot of speculation that he could be on his way to AEW and that this would be a perfect opportunity to debut him in Europe, in England. If that were to be the case, he did let his contract lapse. So there is no, he doesn't have to wait. He can kind of sign wherever he wants, whenever he wants. Obviously, you get Dragunov. He's a special talent. He fits kind of right in with AEW, in my opinion. I personally, if you're going to debut him in the Gauntlet, I feel like he should win the fucking thing. But this would be an easy way for him to debut, not be involved in the decision, because I do expect MJF to win this Gauntlet match. I expect MJF to win it. I just, the way they book things and how good MJF is, I don't really bet against MJF. I just don't. I'm expecting him to win it. But if we can get Dragunov here, man, that'll be a great shot in the arm on Sunday. So we'll see. But I expect the Gauntlet match to be a lot of fun. They always are. But I would be shocked if it's not Andrade, MJF, like one of those two guys bringing it home. But we'll see. It should be a lot of fun. It should be a lot of fun. All right, a little bit later on in the show, Renee Paquette was with Don Callis and Kyle Fletcher. Callis says there's always competition amongst alpha athletes, but at the end of the day, he expects his boys to run the play as called. Fletcher says he trusts Don entirely, and he's absolutely willing to run the play at All In. And he goes, but the question is Okada willing to? Then Okada rolls up. He says family is the most important thing and that Kyle can trust him. Fletcher then asks, what exactly can he trust Okada to do? That you were nowhere to be seen when Takeshita jumped me last week. How can I trust you? And Okada says, he goes, you're always thinking about yourself. He goes, but it's about family, Kyle. Family. Okada's winning that title on Sunday. I feel decently confident that Okada is going to win that title in this three-way. Here's my thing. And Pluggo, last night we were on Body Slam. We do Dynamite Up, me, Pluggo, and Drew Nicholas after every Dynamite. And Pluggo had a great idea too. It is very clear, I think to everybody it should be, but it is very clear to me that for the last month or so, we are getting closer and closer to Kyle Fletcher becoming a massive babyface and leaving the Don Callis family. I feel like that is where we are on a straight shot to that. Big Ben, my man, that is right. Hago, that is true. That is true. That's you. That's your thing, though. I'm not trying to steal no gimmick. I ain't no gimmick stealer. But I think that's where we're leaning here. Like Kyle Fletcher is going to leave the Don Cat, whether he's kicked out or he decides to outsmart them and leave. Kyle Fletcher is going to be a massive babyface leaving this group. I'm not going to say imminently, but sooner than later. Sooner than later. And I don't know how that goes on Sunday. Does that, because he says, oh, I'm willing to run the play, but it's Okada. Well, does Kyle really know the play? Is the play for Kyle? Because I think in Kyle's mind, the play is we do everything to make sure I keep the title. But I'm not sure that that's the play. The Callis family play could be Okada. Or as long as one of you keeps the belt, doesn't matter. Whereas Kyle in his mind is like, the play is for me to keep my title. So this guy better do whatever the fuck he's supposed to do to make sure I keep my title. So, yeah, I just think, to me, it feels like Okada wins it. Kyle gets pissed off, kind of shows that he's not a team player to Don Callis. And then we kind of lead to the split there. However, last night, as Big Ben calls him Pluggo, he said he would like it to be the other way around. That Kyle has been with Callis and has been with the Don Callis family for so long that he knows what they're going to do. So Kyle Fletcher almost kind of outsmarts Okada and retains the title. And then Kyle is like, not defiant, but he's like, oh yeah, like, no, this is the play that the family's most important. We kept the belt in the family. This is what we're supposed to do. And that's where Callis is kind of like, that wasn't the play though, Kyle. And then we kind of lead it to that way. Because I do think we're going to get Proto Shida. We're going to get Proto Shida out of this as well. I do think it's going to be Takeshita and Kyle eventually teaming up to take out the Callis family. And we're going to get that kind of reconnection with Proto Shida out of this. I think Kyle will be going for Will eventually. He's not going to be Will's first opponent. We have the Casino Gauntlet. That will be a big look at those guys are going to be feuding with each other for the next decade. That will be a big time program when they get to it. But I think Kyle Fletcher is going to be he's going to be a babyface sooner than later. And then I think we kind of get to where we'll get to that eventually. To me, Ospreay has to deal with MJF. He's going to have to deal with Moxley at some point. I feel like Moxley just very quickly was like, yeah, Will, you can leave. You can leave. We won't mess with you. And I don't feel like that's true. I think Will's got a couple people in line before we get to Kyle. But yeah, that is something that will happen down the line, though. Kyle and Will, obviously. But I don't think that happens right away. But we'll see. This triple threat match, I mean, look at, we got Omega and Ospreay as the main event of this show on Sunday, but this triple threat match with Fletcher, Okada, and Takeshita, how can that not be the best match on the show? That match, you just look at that match and you're like, this thing's gonna fucking hump. How is it not? Holy shit! Those three guys have that open the show and give them 35 minutes, and we'll all have our tarps off, dude. Tarps off by the end of that show. The nips will be fucking boom. That match is gonna rule. But I still think Okada's leaving as the champion. But I think, but this is also one of those matches that any one of these guys can win that match. And I'm like, all right, cool. Let's go. Take me on the ride, baby. I'm cool. I'm cool with any of them. But I'm picking Okada. We then had ourselves a 6 women's tag, a trios women's match. This match was a lot of fun. It was the Brawling Birds teaming up with the TBS champion, Maya World, taking on the AEW Women's Tag Team Champions, Divine Dominion, and their partner, Persephone. A lot of fun, this match. Back and forth. Divine Dominion are just, my God, man. My God, huh? My God. This match had an intriguing finish to it, though. And I think it had a finish that will lead to another match being added to All In on Sunday. This match is really back and forth. Everybody, Ben, we can go back to that. I agree. That's fair. Oh, so you think it'll be Ospreay that helps Kyle? That could work. I do agree with your first sentence, though. I think it is with no doubt in my mind that Kyle Fletcher is going to be out of the Don Callis family. I'd say within the month. Maybe after All Out, maybe by All Out or slightly after that, within the month. I think that Kyle Fletcher is out of the Callis family. I think Kyle Fletcher is a baby face at that point because he's just so damn good, and the crowd wants to cheer for Kyle because he's just so damn good. But I like that idea. Ben. I like it. No. I think the AEW would be fools to let that guy go anywhere. The only place I could see, if Takeshita were ever to leave, I think it would be because he was signing a direct contract with like New Japan or something to go be like their top guy for 3 years or something like that. But I don't think that guy's leaving at all. He's one of, if not the best pound for pound wrestler in the world, in my opinion. But this trios match with the ladies was awesome. Towards the end of it, the Brawling Birds and Divine Dominion just start, no pun intended, brawling all over the place. They kind of go up the ramp everywhere. So they kind of not eliminate, but they eliminate themselves from the match, which leaves Persephone and Maya World in the ring. The ref is distracted by what's going on with the Birds and Divine Dominion. And Persephone grabs the TBS title. And when the ref's not looking, she smashes Maya World over the head with the title. She then goes up to the top. She hits a frog splash on Maya World, and she pins the TBS champion 1, 2, 3 right in the middle of the ring, giving the win to Divine Dominion and Persephone. And I think because of that, I do think we are going to get a TBS title match added to All In. Whether it's on the pre-show or it's on the main card, I don't know. But I do think we're getting Maya World versus Persephone for the TBS title Sunday at All In. I feel like Persephone's victory, cheating or not, it ain't cheating if you don't get caught, baby. It ain't cheating if you don't get caught. I think that a TBS title match will be added to this show on Sunday. So we're going to pretend that it is. I would pick Maya World to retain. Don't get me wrong. But I think having a second singles women's match on the card, a third women's match overall, would be the right thing to do. And I think Persephone has an argument that she pinned the champ. She pinned the champ. So I think Persephone and Maya World for the TBS title is going to happen on Sunday. But I would think if it does, Maya World would retain. But that'll be a good match. Persephone is fucking great. I'm late on that train because I really have only seen her when she's been on AEW. She's obviously been on AEW a lot more recently. She is spectacular. And that is someone that whenever I know she has a dual contract, and I know there are rumors that the other place in Connecticut are very interested in her as well, as you should be. Everybody should be. But if you're AEW, you cannot let this turn into Stephanie Vaquer. You need to take care of this girl. And you need to make sure that when she is available, you lock her up. Because she is someone you can build a division around. She is very good. So the other match, obviously, on Sunday that had to do with this is for the AEW Women's Tag Team titles. It is Divine Dominion defending against the Brawling Birds. I love both of these teams. I think the Brawling Birds are going to win the tag titles. I do think that they are going to win the tag titles. However, I want Divine Dominion to keep these belts. I think there is no other team in the world like Divine Dominion. And the presentation from the second the music hits until the second they're walking back after their match, it is just A+. A+. I would like to see them hold those titles. They're just really good, man. They're really, really good. I think you can make an argument that they're the best tag team in all of AEW. Their presentation. However, with that being said, they are in England. It is Jamie Hayter. It is Alex Windsor. I do expect the Birds to win the titles. I don't think it's a one-off either. I think this should go for a while. I think the Dominion should be going right back after those titles afterwards. But I am picking the Birds to win on Sunday. But Divine Dominion is they're special. That's a special team. And then as far as Dynamite goes, we were at our main event. I could not believe it. It was 9:40 a.m. Eastern. And Excalibur was like, it's main event time. And I said, excuse me? I go, usually you say that shit at 10:10. 9:40? Is this show ending on time? What a world. It was Jungle Jack Perry and Shane Swerve Strickland. I thought this was a weird choice for main event because these two guys, as of this moment, we think one of them will be involved on Sunday, which we'll talk about. But as of this moment, these two guys are not on All In. They are not booked for anything on All In. And they're not really feuding with each other. I just thought it was very weird that this match was the main event. And it was a good match, as you would expect it. I'm going to be honest with you. Jack Perry's in-ring work the last 2 or 3 months has just been fucking and it's always been good, but just fucking spectacular, dude. Spectacular. And Swerve is one of one. I mean, you know. So this match was really good. It was a lot of fun. Swerve won, as you would expect. He ends the night standing tall, but nothing crazy happened. No interference. Nothing. Just a straight up one-on-one match with two great wrestlers, back and forth. And Swerve was victorious. Jack Perry not involved in All In this weekend. As of this writing, Swerve not involved. However, Hangman Adam Page and Brodito, the Trios champions, had made it very clear a couple weeks ago that they are accepting all challengers. Any or all challengers for the Trios titles at All In. We've seen the Demand out there talking some shit. We've seen Lethal Twist. They're the new Ring of Honor tag champs, so I don't think they'll be involved. But we've seen Lethal Twist out there talking some shit. And we've seen Swerve just by himself. But we've seen Swerve out there talking some shit. And I don't know if this is going to turn into a multi-team trios match or it's just going to be one team against them. But the speculation, the hope, I think everybody's waiting for this, is that it is going to be Swerve and two partners of his choosing going after Hangman and Brodito. And the two partners of his choosing, what everybody's kind of waiting for, is that it will be the former Kofi Kingston and the former Xavier Woods, the former New Day, Daybreak. You know, if he's going back to Creed, KSM, we've seen Kofi copyright KSM, if that's going to be the name he goes by. I don't know, but it feels like it kind of at this point has to be the New Day with Swerve here. I don't think they win the titles, which I feel like a multi-team match would be better for that because Swerve and New Day don't have to be involved in the decision at all. Because I don't think that they're going to win the trios titles. I don't. Because I think this is a good spot to have the New Day debut. Everybody goes fucking bananas, not even in that arena, but everybody in the wrestling world goes bananas because this is just... The company has had major signings. Mercedes, Moxley coming around the first time. They've had major signings. I feel like the New Day will be the biggest signing in the history of the company from a stature standpoint. This is a team that up until recently, because they're no longer there, that WWE has been telling us for a decade plus that they are the greatest tag team in the history of WWE. Now, all of a sudden, they're not, because they're not there anymore. But when they were there, WWE, every list, every countdown, every time the New Day, they would say the greatest tag team in the history of WWE. And now all of a sudden they're going to potentially show up at AEW at All In. This is probably the biggest get in the history of AEW if they make it work, and it happens. And I don't think they're there to win trios titles. I don't. It's a good way to get them involved, have them team with Swerve. You can lean into them being heels because they were heels last we saw them over on the other side. You can lean into that, but I don't think they win the trios titles. And I think either later on in the show on Sunday or they hold it till Dynamite next week. But I think the new tag champions, the Young Bucks, are going to be in that ring. And I think we're going to get the stare down with the New Day. Whether it's on Dynamite or it's later on All In, we're getting it. And the whole wrestling world is going to be one collective holy shit. Because this is the match this is the match, is the New Day and the Bucks for those belts. And I think that is what the moment is going to be of that show. Besides Will winning the title at the end of it and being crowned, the English hero, that New Day Bucks stare down or just the New Day showing up is going to be the moment of the show. And it is going to be special. It's going to be a special, special thing. And I think, yeah, man, I think that's what is going to go down. Only other match that we really didn't talk about that is on All In is the Darby Allin, Kevin Knight Falls Count Anywhere match for the TNT Championship. I could see Darby winning this, but I don't think he's gonna. The Stephen Borden thing, because not really quietly, but they very low-key introduced Stephen Borden to the AEW fan base and AEW television during this build-up over the last couple weeks. Obviously, it's Falls Count Anywhere, which means there's no rules. The Don Callis family is behind Kevin Knight. I would not be shocked if some bullshit were to occur, and maybe that's where we see Stephen Borden. I think we can even see Sting. It is All In. Sting shows up out of nowhere to hell. I think there's going to be some chaos and some bullshit that's happening here. If I'm picking right now, which I'm going to, I am going to pick Kevin Knight to retain because I am very steadfast that Speedball Mike Bailey should be the guy that takes the title off of Kevin Knight. It should be nobody else but Speedball Mike Bailey that does that. I do feel like they ran away from the Kevin Knight, Speedball, Mike Bailey thing way too quickly. I think there is way more meat on that bone. And I think that we need to get back to that because Speedball should win that TNT title and he should 1000% beat Kevin Knight to do it. So I'm going to stick to my guns there and I'm going to say that Kevin Knight retains. Darby probably will almost die 3 or 4 times during this match because that's what Darby does. But I'm thinking Kevin Knight retains on Sunday. And so like I have both tag titles changing hands on Sunday. I have the men's world title changing hands on Sunday. And then I have everything else staying pat. I do think that Brodito and Hangman are going to retain the trios titles. Oh, no, I have Okada. I have Okada winning the international championship as well. So I have 4 title changes. I'm sticking with Willow, even though the injury worries me. But I'm going to stick. I've been swayed, and I'm sticking with Willow. So I have 2 new sets of tag champions. I have a new international champion, and I have a new men's world champion coming out of All In. I have everything else staying the same. I have Willow retaining. I have Moxley retaining. I have Kevin Knight retaining. And I have Brodito and Hangman Adam Page retaining. TLC. The TLC was also a pay-per-view for a long time. So they didn't necessarily, when Christian was talking like that, the match wasn't named the Edge and Christian match or anything like that, but the TLC match was named after them and, all 3 of those teams really. And then the TLC was a pay-per-view as well for years. It was usually the December pay-per-view for a while. I went to one in Boston, the one where Kalisto did that ridiculous sliced bread off the ladder to Jimmy Uso. Insane. Good morning, Cody. And Anna. Pardon. Hope you are well. We're wrapping up here. Just went through last night's AEW Dynamite. Went through the All In card on Sunday. All In's going to be special, y'all. There's only 9 matches booked currently. I expect more matches. There's only 8 there. What's the 9th one that's not there? Hold on. Wait, put that back up. What one don't they have there? Oh, they don't have Moxley and Nigel because we hadn't found that out yet. So Moxley and Nigel. So there's 9 matches booked. I would expect an 11 or 12 number by the time we get to Sunday. I think they're going to add another 2 or 3 matches. I think maybe 1. I think the Maya World Persephone match should be added to the main card. And then I believe AJ, Big Boom AJ said, I saw a video that said they're going to London. I would expect them to be in some sort of match on the pre-show. Maybe I'm expecting 2 pre-show matches and a main card match to be added. I think they're going to have a fat round number of 12 matches for this show. So that's what I expect. I expect 2 pre-show matches or 3, but I expect 3 more matches. I just don't think they want to have 2. I think they should, or maybe, if we didn't get what we got last night with Persephone, I would have loved Maya World to defend that title in like a multi-women ladder match or something like that. You could have thrown Tekla, Persephone, Statlander, Sheeta, and her, and like a 5-women ladder match for the title. I think that could have been fun. I know we kind of saw, or you could have done something, but I understand them not wanting 2 of the same type of match on the show, but I do feel like the TBS title, they could have gone a multi-woman route with that as well. Or, just add it to the show. I do expect Persephone and Maya World to be added. I do. But we'll see. But either way, it should be a special show on Sunday, man. I think we're going to get a few debuts, which are going to be fun. I think New Day, Dragunov. I agree. I think that is one of the only travesties of this is Tekla absolutely earned a spot on this card. She carried that women's division when there was no Mercedes, there was no Toni Storm, there was no Willow. They needed somebody to step up, and Tekla absolutely stepped up, and she knocked it out of the fucking park. And I do think it's a shame that she is not on this card. I think she's kind of earned that to be on this card. One caveat I will say is if the trios match turns out to be a multi-team match, I could see the Dogs with Gabe Kidd winning. I could see that. As of right now, I'm going to pick the champs to retain. But if it does turn into a multi-trios match, the fact that Gabe Kidd is now back in AEW with the Dogs, I could see Gabe Kidd taking it. I could see Gabe Kidd and the Dogs taking it. Because I do feel like the title should probably be on them sooner than later and then let them kind of run roughshod over the trios division. That's what I would want. But on that note, that's going to do it for us here. We've talked about All In. We've talked about the card. We talked about last night's go-home show. mainevent_.net, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. Go give us a follow. If you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Click that bell for notifications so you get notifications when everything is coming up. There's a lot of wrestling this week. We are going to be very, very prevalent this weekend with a lot of good content. Click that bell for notification. We have 3 mixers this weekend. I unfortunately can't be on any of them because I got busy shit going on. But we have a lot of the crew getting all together for 3 different mixers this weekend. Every Tuesday, you get Kayfabe Coffee with the Great Brown Hope and Tito talking about Monday Night Raw. Every Thursday, you get me talking some AEW, Dynamite, and all that fun stuff. We got the On the Mark show Thursday nights. We got the night shift after NXT every Tuesday. We got the Kicking Out Pod Boys talking AEW every Sunday. I'm assuming because of the early start, I think they're going a different day this week. They going tomorrow? Are they going tomorrow this week, or are they staying to Sunday night because All In is early? They're going tomorrow. So pay-per-view weeks, they usually go on Fridays instead of Sundays. But every Sunday, 8:30 Eastern, the Kicking Out Pod Boys, our pals. We got a lot of good shit here with a lot of good people. We do the damn thing. One of the best communities, one of the best wrestling content groups out there. So give us all the love, share it out, give us a follow, subscribe. I appreciate you all hanging out with me. You can follow me right here, JPJ Loves Gaming. I am here every Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. You can catch me Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern with Pluggo over on Love Wrestling doing Between Two Beards. We have Jeff Hawkins joining us tonight. We're obviously going to be previewing All In, but we are also going to be doing our full NFL preview tonight. So if you like football, you're a pro football guy, come hang out. We're going to be doing our whole preview of the season and giving our picks and all that fun stuff in the football world as well. Sunday afternoons, Fightful overbooked. Myself and Auntie Collins do a show called Coast to Coast. We talk pro wrestling, but we talk a little bit of everything, and we have a really, really fun time doing it. So go check us out over there. And then Wednesday nights after AEW Dynamite, bodyslam.net, me, Pluggo, Drew Nicholas, Dynamite Up. That's how we roll. That's where you can find me. Give me a follow, but more importantly, follow all of us here at the Main Event Wrestling Network. Thank you all for hanging out and being in the chat. Appreciate you all. Till next Thursday, I will see you then. Peace out.
What up, though? You already know what it is. Best in the world, a.k.a. The Problem. Isaiah Broner. And you watching the Main Event Wrestling Network.